with all that being said, the PGA and the USGA, that's the United States Golf Association, the USGA is over the US Open. They have one event per year, and that's
Oh,
it. And it's the US Open. It's their big dog, it's their big event. There are certain smaller events throughout the year that a player has to win to qualify for that US Open, or shoot, me and you, we could go through the qualifying rounds and try to qualify for the U.S. Open. You got to have like a 1.2 handicap or something. You got to be really, really good, bottom line. But
right.
what the PGA Tour is firing back with, they're basically saying, hey, if you guys break your quote unquote contract with us, you will not be allowed to play on the PGA Tour. So some of these guys are taking a little bit of a risk, I feel like, but in today's day and age, I mean, it's a money grab. They're chasing the money. I don't see this live tour lasting too awful long. I mean, they're bleeding money. They're hemorrhaging money left and right. How are they going to make any kind of money? I think they have 45 players is what they pulled in off the PGA Tour. And I mean, one of their big dogs, like I said, was 125 million. Dustin Johnson right off the bat. So I don't know how they're going to make any kind of money. Is what I'm getting at. Phil Mickelson, he signed a contract for 200 million. I mean, it's absurd money, and supposedly the purses are going to be huge. That's your total, how much the tournament is going to, money wise is going to be included in their tournaments. This weekend, I think the winners projected to get like 4.5 million if he were to win this tournament this weekend, whoever it may be. It's gobs and gobs of money. I don't see it lasting too awful long, but on the other hand, I can't blame those guys. I mean, Dustin Johnson's he's put in 15 years on the PGA Tour, made 75 million, and we talk about that like it's chump change. We're like, oh, that's just 75 million. That's great money. 15 years, he's set.
So,
But
but so here's the way I'm looking at it. Okay, if I'm Phil
mhm,
Mickelson, I mean, let's be honest. He's not gonna. He would never make that much money on the PGA Tour, correct? So,
well,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at it like, okay, yeah. So you guys aren't gonna let me come back? Great. Okay, I'm gonna go make some money.
yeah, and rumor has it that Phil Mickelson had one heck of a gambling problem. I read a article the other day. I can't remember what it was from. Might have been the Athletic or something like that, where he put out a statement saying his gambling habit it had become reckless, and he had put him and his family in a bind going through their money. And Phil's been on the tour. Oh golly, we're talking probably 25 years or so. I mean, Phil's been out there for a long time. He's just about due to jump to the senior circuit, which that's 50 and up, 50 age group and up. So Phil's made his money, but it makes you wonder how much he has blown if he does indeed have this gambling habit that everybody seems to think he has. But I don't know. It blows my mind. And NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, none of those big circuits, none of those big TV outlets are gonna tie in with these Saudis for a gazillion different reasons, I'm sure. So how say us on a weekend, if we want to view this live tour, how are we going to watch it? Do we have to go through YouTube TV, or is it one of the streaming broadcasts? I'm not sure. I haven't really looked that deep into it, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how long that thing lasts, and just what it's actually made of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm curious as to what the market would be. Who's really
Mhm.
interested in anything like that.
Yeah,
I think maybe
yeah.
if they were trying to latch on to Tiger back in the day, when he was a
Well,
hot commodity,
it's
maybe. But I mean, I
it's
don't know.
funny you mentioned that, because I read something just this morning that he turned down a large nine-figure offer. So I mean, there's no telling how much money. And I also read that they threw the B word out there, billions. I mean, if they offered Tiger that kind of money and he said no to it, but he's old fashioned. He's another one that's been on the tour for 20 plus years. I think 26, 27 years he's been on the tour. He's hands down probably. I mean, you can argue if he's the best golfer of all time or the second best golfer of all time. I don't really want to argue that. I mean, it's him or Jack. You could say it's Jack. and then Tiger, won in 1A, however you want to put it, But yeah, apparently Tiger turned down a ton of money. Jack Nicklaus was another one that turned down a ton of money. He said, "No, I don't want no part of it." Again, Jack being the old guy, the golden bear, the old guy. I think he's pushing 75 now, so obviously not playing on the tour anymore. But he's made his money over the years. He didn't want anything to do with it, so they've landed some big names. I mean, and just today they picked up Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Reed, Ricky Fowler was another one. That's a local guy. Well, I say local. He's originally from San Diego, but played at Oklahoma State. So
now he's
they're
pretty
doing
young too, correct?
Ricky, yeah, I want to say he's been on the tour probably. If I was guessing, I'd just throw 10 years out there. It's about how long he's been on the tour. So it's if you look at it, man, it's a money grab. But also you look at it like this: strike while the iron's hot, and jump out there and make your money while you can. Yeah, the PGA Tour might your little slap on the wrist and ban you for a year or a half a year or something like that, and then make you you have to put your name back in the hat to play again. But I don't know. We'll see. Bottom line, man, the Saudis are throwing around a ton of money, and they're landing some legit talent off the PGA Tour.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been hearing bits and pieces about that. I don't. I just don't understand why they're wanting to do it. It makes no sense to me. But I guess
Well,
they got a lot of money. So
yeah, and the statement I read this morning from Dustin Johnson was, he did what's best for his family. 125 million. You come play with us, and he said, okay, I'll stick my foot in the water, see how it is, and we'll see. Like I said, they're supposed to kick things off. I want to say tomorrow. I think they're going to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday in London. So it'll be interesting to see just what it's all made of. Are they going to have a slew of fans out there? They're going to have the big gallery and stuff like that, like your normal PGA events have, or is it just going to be them guys out there playing golf on these nice golf courses with nobody watching?
right, right. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know. I just thought it was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was crazy. You hear that door knocking?
Yeah. What I thought you was whooping on something in there.
I think we got a visitor.
Okay.
We do.
That's good.
And it looks like we got Macey Hatfield here. Macy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hey, we appreciate you taking the time to stop by and say hi. And I just realized you've been listening to us for about the last 5 minutes, so I apologize for keeping you waiting. So
No, you're okay.
so yeah, we had our discussion earlier today about something, and I'm sitting here watching the OU girls, and it looks like Allo just a little bit ago hit another home run, so they're up 5-1. So
Wow.
Yeah, Olo hit one and then Snow hit one. So if you see me peeping up, I'm looking at the TV. Got a root on my skin.
yeah, we're doing the same thing. So anyways, Jake, I
But
think
yeah.
you had a few questions, didn't you?
No, hey Macy, again, hey, thanks for jumping on with us. And if anybody out there that doesn't know exactly who Macey Hatfield is, local girl, played 2 years over at Maysville, and transferred over here to Lindsay, and finished her senior year here. Moved on to Seminole State after collecting some pretty high accolades here at Lindsay. I believe he was a female athlete of the year your senior year. Had some all district, all conference honors as well. And then, as I mentioned, you jump over there to Seminole State. And correct me if I'm wrong, Macy. What did you spend, like half a semester there, or a full semester, and before making the jump up there to Norman?
Oh, yeah. So I planned on going to Seminole State, which is a JUCO. Planned on being there for 2 full years. So I was there my freshman year. So fall of 2013, we did some expedition games, one of them being with OU. And if I remember right, I went 3 for 3 with a grand slam.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of a big deal. I mean, one of those things where I grew up wanting to go to OU my entire life.
Yeah. And so needless to say, you probably grabbed Patty's attention. Am I right?
I did. It was, like I said, it was one of those things. I wanted to go there my entire life. From the time I was 8 years old, I went to all of OU softball camps. So, I mean, it was a huge deal. So when I never got, I guess, the looks or I guess recruiting process that I would need to go there, I went in with the idea of, look at me, look at this small town kid. You look past me. I'm going to show you what you missed out on.
Yeah.
And I did that. I went in there with no care in the world. I'm just going to go have fun, play my game. And we wound up losing that game 7-8. But I mean, that same year, Seminole State made it all the way to the JUCO World Series, and I think came in third or fourth. So I mean, we were a good bunch there. But 2 weeks later, after having that game, OU called and was like, "We want you." I was like, "That's fantastic. I'll be there in 2 years." They're like, "No, now." I was like, "Okay,
Wow.
here I come."
So as
Can't pass
far
this
as
opportunity up.
talk about how that felt. You mentioned you went as a little girl, you're constantly going to games. I'm sure trying to get into the camps and stuff like that, and everything that goes with that. Talk about that experience. I mean, was it Patty that called you offhand, or was it one of the assistant coaches that said, "Hey, come on, we want you"? Or I mean, just talk a little bit about that. How'd that process go?
Well, I mean, it was really neat. I thought I was getting in trouble. Coach Flores, which is an OU alum as well, she was our coach at Seminole State. And I'm sitting in my dorm one day before practice, and she's like, "Meet me outside." I was like, "Oh no, I haven't done anything wrong. Well, what could be going on?" So I walk outside, I meet her in the car, and she's like, "Oh, you called." And I was like, "Okay." She's like, "They want to talk to you. They want to meet with you. I was like, "Okay, what about? Like, I'm here."
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's the deal? And she's like, I between me and you, I think they want to recruit you. And I was like, "Okay." So I missed practice that day because I had a phone call with Coach Gasso.
Right.
So after that phone call, she was like, "We want you. We want you here now. We think you could be a great asset to our team. We want you to come in and make an impact and do all of this." And I was like, "Okay, I'm in. Where do I sign?"
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you get to Norman, like you said, you sign the letter of intent or whatever, and um, end up, just to kind of fast forward a little bit, you end up a 2-time national champion. Played with some great players up there, and while we were kind of talking earlier, the one I was trying to think of, and if I'm off here, was there? I believe it was. Is it Shay Knighton or Nightingale, something like that? You played with?
Shay Knighton.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So I mean, you go from little old Seminole State, and don't get me wrong, Seminole State, they were notorious for always having a solid baseball program, but I'm assuming they had a darn good softball program as well. So you go from that, and all of a sudden you're thrust into the Big 12. You're in the big time. That had to be, I mean, obviously dream come true. And just talk about that, how that whole experience. I mean,
Oh, I mean, absolutely. A dream come true. Because, like I said, from the time I was 8 years old, that's where I wanted to play. And I dreamed of playing there. Of course, me being a country girl from the middle of nowhere, going into big city Norman, it was kind of a shell shock. Because, I mean, you have all these city people, and I'm used to just kind of jaywalking across the street. And you're like, "No, you've got to go to the freeway and walk across." So, I mean, it was a big deal. 100%. But I mean, it was huge. I stepped into the program and I got to play with Lauren Chamberlain, Georgia Casey. I mean,
Yep.
big time names. And then as I was there, Sydney Romero, Shay Knighton, Paige Parker, they all come in behind me. And I mean, it was just, I'm in shell shock. And I mean, I played against Paige Parker in tournament ball. So I was like, this kid's good. She's an athlete.
Yeah.
I don't want to face her. So I'm glad we're at the same spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Macey, you got to understand. I'm the friend here in this podcast here. He's the enemy. He's a Polk fan. So you're throwing names out there, and I'm going, wow, these are great. I actually watched you guys, so, but yeah, he's a poke, so don't pay
Hey, there's
him any
nothing
attention.
wrong with that. I was rooting for them to make it to the finals, but
Oh,
they came up a little
and
short.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So let's let's talk about that game the other night. So they go up against Texas in the semifinal, and they got to win one of two, or well, they got to win one to advance to play Oklahoma in this World Series best of three. And I was talking with my oldest. We watched that first game, and Texas jumped all over them. I I told my oldest, I said, I think Kenny might have overthought it. I, I guess that's the best way to put it. He didn't throw Maxwell that first game. He trotted. I'm blanking on her name right now, but anyhow, so he goes with his
Day?
not do what? Yeah. So he rolls with her.
The day?
Day, yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, no big deal. Well, Texas is up 5-0 here in a hurry, or I think they actually went up 3-0 pretty quick. I'm thinking, okay, no way they knock OSU off, into it's going to be hard to beat them back to back. So they throw Maxwell the second game after getting beat, shut out in that first game. So they pitch Maxwell. Oklahoma State comes out and does the exact same thing. They jump on Texas early, and it looks like they're cruising. They're up 3-0 real fast. Texas went away from Czech, their pitcher, and they go to Dulcini, their other good pitcher. And first rattle out of the box, she gives up a 2-run shot. And all of a sudden, Cowgirls are up 5-0. And I'm thinking, okay, here we go. You got Maxwell in the circle, like Cowgirls are going to cruise, right? It looked like to me, and if you watch the game, correct me if I'm wrong, she lost a little bit of control, and it just kind of it ballooned from there. I mean, it just everything that could happen happened for Texas, and then the hit out there to right field to again, I'm blanking on her name, but anyhow, ball's hit out there to right field. She bobbles it slightly. Does a good job gathering it back up, hits her cutoff. At the very least, you're thinking, okay, they're going to score one run here. Not the case. She fires one over towards second, and it actually goes into center field. Next thing you know, Texas is on top 6-5, and credit to Texas. I mean, they never gave up. They never laid down. They kept cruising. But man, what a heartbreak for the Cowgirls. You hate to lose one like that. And I'm with you. I was hoping for a Bedlam national championship, but not the case. We got OU Texas anyhow. So.
Well, I guess the next best thing is a Red River rivalry, but I was really, really hoping for OSU to make it. I mean, that would have been huge. Yep. But ever since Guyesi came in, he's took that program and he's completely turned it around. And yep. I think a little bit of nerves got to him. I mean, just they had it and they got comfortable, and then Texas started to piece it back piece by piece, and then they felt the pressure and started pushing on themselves when they didn't have to, and I think it just got to them.
Yeah, and take it from you, who you've been there, you've played in them semifinal games, and been put in them tight spots and uncomfortable situations. And I agree with you, Macey. I think OSU, I think they pressed a little bit too much. They were pressing in that first game. It's easy for us to, be sitting there on the couch or a few days later talking about it, being like, well, they should have done this or they should have done that. But I'm with you. I agree. I think they were pressed a little bit, and Texas came in with they had a chip on their shoulder. I think they did throughout the World Series.
They're hot right now.
They are hot. They are dangerous. Their coach, he was spot on the other day, and even when they were down 5-0 and they, he had that little interview there, he was upbeat. He was like, hey, we got to start putting the ball in play. We got to start playing Texas softball. And sure enough, one thing led to another. And as you said, they just kind of pieced everything together. And next thing you know, they're on top 6-5, and OSU couldn't do anything after that. I think they were shell shocked. You listening to the announcers.
Yeah, like what just happened.
Yeah, and they're only down a run, but just their body language, man. Those girls there in the dugout, it was a shock, and they're thinking, we're on the verge of just letting this thing slip out of our fingers, and yeah, sure enough, that's what happened. So credit to Texas, though, man. You got to
Well,
tip
not
your
only
cap to
the
them.
players. Yeah, but not only the players. I saw a video of after the fact, a video of a girl. She was coming out to go play catch. I mean, she wasn't in the starting lineup or anything like that, but I mean, she held her hand up to give, I don't even know what coach it was, but give one of her coaches or assistant coaches or something like a fist bump, and he just kind of dropped his head and walked past her like,
Yep.
were you
Yeah.
beat right then? Did you just give up right then? It just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the players. I mean, it seemed like the coaches dropped too.
Yeah,
Maybe not
you
head,
could definitely
but some
you
of
could definitely tell the body language was it flipped, and Texas, they kind of caught that wave of momentum, and you could tell they were riding it, and OSU just they let it slip, and that's how it goes, unfortunately, and you hate it for OSU and even for the state of Oklahoma, because don't get me wrong, OU Texas, that's a big grab. That's a big deal, in every sport. I mean, they played for a Big 12 championship in baseball just a couple of weeks ago. Texas baseball got hot. Texas golf just won a national championship. Boys, I mean, their athletic program, they're no slouch down there. Everybody, especially local, Oklahoma people love to give Texas a hard time. Texas got all this money, but they still can't get it done. They might have had a down year in football, but they weren't real good in basketball. But I mean, hey, you win a natty in golf, you win a Big 12 get to the Big 12 championship in baseball. I'm not sure how they did throughout the rest of the NCAA tournament. And then their girls in softball, here they are tonight. Now, I mean, they're kind of in a hole right now, but you're just gonna have to don't count them out. They're still in this ball game and got another one to play tomorrow.
Plenty of game left.
Yeah.
Yes, plenty of game left with 1 to 2 more games. So I mean, I wouldn't count them out at all. But I think that's a big issue. I mean, in the world, and I hate to say it because I hope y'all aren't football guys, and this is not me just talking softball. But I mean, we put the pressure of, okay, if football's not doing good, then our school's not doing good, kind of thing.
Yep.
We don't look to the little man. We don't look to golf. We don't look to softball. We don't look to gymnastics. We don't look to any of that. I mean, OU women's gymnastics won another national championship this year.
Yep.
That makes about as many as softball has in the last 10 years, and no one's talking about them. They're not getting the credit because it's not football. And that was another thing that I read an article about too, is you have Jocelyn Allo and Kalani Ricketts that got player of the year for softball, which is the highest of highest honors in softball. And the Heisman is one of the highest honors in football. Well, we have Heisman towers there for the guys, and Bob Stoops has a statue for winning a national championship. Well, here Gasso is working on her 7th or 8th, and we have these players of the year, and they don't have anything like that. And same thing for gymnastics. That coach is working on 8 or 9, and she has, I don't know what they call it in gymnastics, but they have that same accolades that softball has, but they're not getting the recognition either. And I don't want to say it's just strictly football, but I mean, that's every school's big money maker. And so they get more of the statues and the, what's the word I'm looking for?
Recognition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Macey, I'll tell you something. I admit I'm that guy that has always been the football guy, okay, growing up. But, hey, you guys basically attracted me to start watching softball. And never in my life have I been a softball guy or a baseball guy. But whenever all this started happening with you guys and I started watching softball, I said, listen, if people ever start watching softball, they're going to figure out it's a whole lot more interesting than baseball, a lot more fun to watch, and it's going to start taking off. Well, guess what? Listen, we just had ABC air their first softball games ever. It's catching on. It is. It's taking traction. It's catching on. It's a big deal this year. We're setting records. It's going to be an even bigger deal next year, and it's just going to keep continuing that way.
Absolutely. It's grown. I mean, tremendously. I mean, OU itself has to build a new stadium because they can't seat as many people that wants to come.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I know that's across the point or across the board on other schools as well. So, I mean, there at one point in time, I was in college, so it's trying to change a little bit. I had to do a survey and to see which college sport brings in the most sport or most money. And of course, football being one. And then I think it went men's basketball, women's basketball, and then softball. I haven't looked back at it now, but I want to say softball may have changed that up a little bit. I think they're starting to bring in a little bit more money and the revenue's there. And I don't know.
Well, and two, I think if Patty, she will. I think she'll have a statue out there in front of this new stadium that they're going to build for those girls. I truly do. She might have her name on the front of it plus a statue out there as you walk in. You know what I mean? I mean, you can argue she is the best coach of any sport at the University of Oklahoma. Now that is, you get your hardcore football fans that are going to say, oh, well, Bud Wilkinson, Barry Switzer, Bob Stu. I'm not taking anything away from what Bud did. They won 47 in a row. Switzer won him, 2-3 national championships, something like that. Great football coaches. But what Patty Gasso has done to take a sport that, as you were saying, wasn't getting a lot of recognition back in the day, was not really thought of. Darn sure wasn't ever going to be put on ESPN or ABC for that matter. Patty Gasso has left a footprint not only at the University of Oklahoma, but in women's college softball, period.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Jake, as a huge OU fan, I will say, here's the thing that she did that none of those guys had ever did. Okay, all of the football coaches had basically taken a program that let's be honest, it's all OU's always been good at football. Okay, but they were not that I know of, they were never really known as the softball school. And she did that. So she built something, I feel like, probably that none of those guys can say they did. Not taken away from them, but, she's the face of OU softball.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. And like Macey was saying earlier, too, while we were kind of, giving this thing a test run earlier this afternoon, Oklahoma it's a hotbed for softball. Don't get me wrong. These other states, they have great softball players and stuff. But now with Oklahoma being the powerhouse that they are, with Oklahoma State trying to come on, and this whole transfer portal thing now, those girls got the same benefits as the guys in football. They can just pull up and transfer whenever. I mean, Miranda Ellis, she spent a year at Oregon with the Texas head coach. Well, when the Texas coach they were at Oregon together. When he decides to take the Texas gig, where does Miranda Ellis? She follows him. She goes with him. Jocelyn Allo was gonna play for the University of Oregon. She's a Hawaii girl. She was gonna play at Oregon, and she went on another recruiting visit to Arizona, and Oregon took the offer off the table, and guess who comes calling? Patty Gasso. Says, hey, well, if Oregon don't want you and you really don't want to go to Arizona, why don't you come to Norman, Oklahoma? Yeah, that's halfway across the ocean and halfway across the United States, but we'd love to have you. And look how that's panned out. I mean, she's going to go down as the best college softball player walking the face of the earth. I mean, that girl, what she can do is unreal. I mean, she's a great player. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I seen the other day she's hitting like 497 or something like that, and out of I think it's 2 out of 5 times she comes up to the plate, she's hitting it out of the ballpark. So talk about that, Macey. I mean, you hit I pulled your stats up earlier. I want to say you had 7 or 8 home runs in your 4 years there at OU. I think you were like a career 287 batting average girl. Talk about how difficult that is to maintain a batting average like that. I mean, she's almost batting 500. That's darn near 50-50 every time she comes to the plate. And that's now even with opposing pitchers throwing her junk, trying to walk her, not intentionally walking her, but more or less they are. Talk about how hard that is just to maintain a BA like that.
I don't even know how you would put it. I mean, it's terribly hard. I mean, there's nothing that you can do to sit there and keep that up. I mean, constantly working in the cages, constantly putting it at bat. But what's phenomenal about her is when she's not hitting home runs, she's hitting base hits. I mean, she's putting the ball in play. Her strikeout to hit ratio is just tremendous. I mean, she hits more than she strikes out. And when she does, she walks back up to the plate with the mentality of, you're not going to beat me again. Yeah. I don't know if there's been but 1 or 2 games that she struck out more than once. And I think that was back when she was chasing the home run record and trying to get it. And then her and Gasso sat back and had a talk of, who cares? You don't need it. Just play your game, do your stuff, and it'll come. Yeah. And once they had that talk, I mean, she went off back to back to back. And it was really neat that she got to get beat the home run career record in her hometown of Hawaii. So, I mean, that was huge. Her whole family got to see it. And kudos to Hawaii for throwing to her. I mean, everyone up until then didn't want to throw to her. They would just walk her. Yeah. But
no, that's well said. I agree.
So, hey, Macey, earlier when we were talking about when you had started out and you were playing JUCO, you brought up something that was very interesting. You were talking about basically that was how, you had to go all the way through high school and then get into JUCO and then hit this homer in front of Coach Gasso in order to basically grab her attention. And, there's something that you've done that is going to help girls to maybe get them out there, some of our local girls, to get them out there a little bit more, to maybe get them some exposure. You want to talk about a little bit about what that is that you're doing to help these girls?
So back in college, I had 1 year left to finish my degree. So I decided to go coach at a local high school there in Norman. Throughout then that whole year while I was finishing up school, I planned on being a chiropractor. I was going to go to Texas and I was going to get my degree and pop people's backs for a living. I mean, that's what I planned on doing. But I got working with these kids at this high school, just kind of burned time to get me through finishing my degree, and found out that I really loved coaching. And I'd been giving lessons off and on for years, kind of make money when I was home, kind of so I didn't have to rely so much on my parents. And I would take what I learned from OU back to my lessons and, hey, this is how we do it. If it works for you, great. If not, let's tweak it. Let's make it your own. Let's do your own thing with it. Well, come halfway through my first year at CCS, I decided that, I was going to build my own barn. I was going to have somewhere where I could give lessons, stay sturdy with it, and do all of this. So I decided to leave CCS after a year and a half in and come home and do this. Well, as soon as I started building it, I had people asking, well, can we use it for practice? Can we use it for just get some cage time in when it's raining? And that kind of got me to open my eyes a little bit. There's nothing around here, Lindsay, Maysville, Paws Valley, Purcell, that has that for kids to use. So I was like, heck yeah, I'll start my own organization. I'll make it cheap enough where we're not having to compete with Oklahoma City kids. These kids will want to come here. They'll want to participate. Their parents will thank me for not having to drive to the city to be a part of these big tournament teams and this and that. So, I mean, it's kind of a big deal. And from then I didn't expect it to grow like it has grown. But I mean, I'm sitting here right now and I have 6 teams. Looking at bringing on more in the fall. Of course, everyone comes and goes. So I have some that have decided to leave, but some of them leave because they think the grass is greener on the other side. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I can't tell you if they think it's greener or not. But I mean, that was my thing, is I want to help these athletes grow from local, small town kids, affordable prices, that they're not having to pay these city prices or drive to the city constantly, to give these kids the opportunity to continue playing. I know league ball goes until maybe 12 and under. I think 14 and under is about the time they hit high school ball. And sometimes that's just not enough play for them. They want to continue playing more. They want to do more. So, I mean, this is something local that they can use. They can rent out cages. They can come get lessons. I have people giving lessons that provide all kinds of stuff. I mean, I have one in there right now as we speak from Texas Tech, Purcell native. I mean, she's giving catching lessons. I have high school kids that want to make a few bucks and really good at their craft. So I have them in there giving hitting lessons and pitching lessons and so on and so forth. So not only do I want this to be an opportunity for them to continue growing as a player, but I want them to be able to learn and know that they can give back as well. And that's what some of these kids are doing.
So you have a Facebook page where they can contact you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And
is plastered all over it. So
good deal. Yeah.
Hey, you know what that is? What Macey just described? That is a real life, if you build it, they will come kind of story. You know what I mean?
My dad has joked about that constantly.
I was sitting here thinking it and kind of laughing to myself. But you mentioned, hey, I think I might have stumbled onto something here. I'm going to build this barn, and all of a sudden, people start showing up. Hey, well, can we use it to practice? Can we do this? Can we do that? Your wheels start turning. Yeah, that's a real life. If you build it, they will come kind of story, and that's cool. I mean, that's a great deal.
Hey, Macey, we actually have a young man that from Lindsay. He's a baseball player, but I'm going to bring him on, Riley Smith. And Riley is pitching over at East Central. This was his first year. He was a freshman, and so he's pitching over there. And I actually just brought him on. He's live with us now. Is there any advice that you could give to Riley that he's hoping maybe he can reach a championship or something like that? What advice would you give to a young man like Riley?
I guess it just baseball or softball, both. Did he leave? Did he leave?
You know what? I think we did lose his feed.
Oh,
no, he's still there. Can you see him?
So, yeah. So I guess that's a big thing for baseball and softball both. I mean, you go into these moments and you put so much pressure on yourself. If you have to be great, or you have to do this, or you have to work this hard to make it in the starting lineup, or you have to go and put this much extra work in it, or once you're in there, you're like, I have to do this to maintain and stay. Just don't make the moments too big. You make them too big, then you put too much pressure on yourself, and then you don't play the kind of ball that you want to play. I mean, that was one of the biggest things, is I struggled with that my freshman through junior year. I mean, I tried to make the moments too big anytime I got the opportunity, because I didn't start. So come senior year, I just went out, played my game, did my thing. I would constantly talk to my dad, and he was like, just calm down, stay calm, do your thing. You know how to do this. But I mean, just when I went out there and I tried to make the moments too big, or I tried to put too much pressure on myself instead of just playing my game and doing what I've done my entire life, is when I struggled. So when I finally figured that out, I was set in stone.
Yeah. So I think we lost him again. Maybe he's got bad reception or something. But
anyway.
I can hear y'all now. I'm good.
There he is. What's up, Riley?
Sorry, I have no idea what went on.
No, you're good, man. Did you catch everything Macey had to say?
I did not.
So I guess the big thing is don't make the moments too big. When you get your opportunities, make the most of the opportunities, but don't put too much pressure on yourself where you lose sight of why you're there and what you're doing.
Right.
And Yeah, that's the deal. I mean, Macey, you played. I'm sure from the time you were probably 4 years old up until you were finished at college. Riley's the same way. I'm sure played when he was a youngster. You know how to play the game. You know what you're doing. You know how good you are. Like you were saying, don't make the moment too big. Try to stay in the moment the best you can, and it's muscle memory. It'll happen. It'll come to you. And prime example, like you were saying, your senior year, that was kind of your breakout year, and you put on a show. And I went back today. I watched a few highlights. There was a game. I can't remember who you guys were playing. It might have been Tulsa in maybe the regionals or something like that. You hit I think it was a solo shot, and then there was a ball hit out to you there in left field. And it looked so automatic to you. I mean, you're running after this ball, you lay out for it, make a great diving catch, and it just looked like you had been doing it for years. Obviously, you have, but you made it look easy, and that's the whole thing. I mean, just like you said, don't make the moment too big, man. Just go out there and enjoy it. At the end of the day, you are playing a game, that you have played for years and years, and keep that mindset. I agree with you 100%. That's sound advice.
So, Riley, how's things going over there in Tiger Country?
Well, we had a pretty disappointing season. We didn't have the outcome we wanted, but we're definitely going to work on it this off season. Going into the fall with our new coach, Coach Galloway. That's really exciting. Getting to play for him.
Wow.
Why does that name sound familiar? Isn't he at OU?
Former OU coach.
Okay, okay, that's.
Yep. So we got Coach Galloway over there now. He's taking over the program, and it's ready to go. I'm very excited for him to be over there. So,
man, yeah, that'll be cool getting to play for Galloway.
Yep.
Where did he come from? What had he been doing since his departure there from OU? Do you have any idea, Riley?
Well,
I'd be lying. I don't know where he ended up or what he was doing.
He went to Auburn for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
He came back and he was coaching at Moore High School, and now he's coaching. Now he's at ECU. So
cool. Yeah, that's a guy. He knows what's going on. He's been around some big time players there at OU, and I'm sure had some over there while he was there in Auburn. So yeah, that'll be cool to be able to play for somebody like that for sure.
So hey, Macey, and I was going to ask you too. So I'm assuming you keep up with some of the high school, softball players around here. Are there any of them that we're familiar with a few of them, but are there any of them that you would recommend we keep our eyes out for and might be up and coming, or is that something you wanna hold close to your chest for a little while?
Oh shoot!
I know you got some competitive ball going, so
yeah. I better keep that one quiet for a minute.
Okay.
We'll let you know.
Understood.
Well, I know we've got a few here in Lindsay, and I think there's a few that play on your team, so or one or two maybe. So, anyways,
we still got Eric. He's still there.
Yep, I'm here.
Eric's still here. I think Riley's still here. Macey's still here.
Yeah, I've got a couple on older teams, some on younger teams. So I mean, I'm building, I'm growing. I have a lot of Lindsay kids. And I mean, a lot of them are good athletes, 100%.
So,
that's a
and
good
there
answer.
was something we had talked about a little bit earlier about maybe needing some help coaching.
Yeah, I have kids calling daily. They're like, you got a 09 team, which would be second year 12U, or do you have a 2012 team? Or, even an older group. Do you have an 07 group? And I'm like, no, but you're not the first one that's called. And so I have to turn them away and try to venture them in the right direction because I don't have what they're looking for here. And it's the simple fact of I cannot find coaches that are willing to come in and coach these group of athletes. I mean, I have a few. I have myself, which I coach 2 teams. I coach a 16U and a 14U, and then I have a guy out of Tulsa that is coaching an 09 team for me. And then my fiance, of course, he's coaching the 12U. And then actually a Lindsay native, Zach Williams. What is his last name? Zach.
Yep.
Zach.
Yep.
He's coaching a 10U team. And then I've got Washington native William McGee. He is coaching an 8U team. But I mean, I could have more teams and help these athletes get in the right spots if I could find the right coaches, or find coaches that are interested in coming in and helping these girls grow and learn. And I'm even willing to pay them. I mean, 100%. I want these athletes to have the right opportunities. And in order to get the right opportunities, I need coaches. And I have a hard time finding coaches for some odd reason.
So what do you look for in a coach? You know, say if I'm a parent out here and I'm or whoever I'm watching this program and I'm thinking, man, you know, maybe this is something I want to do. What is it that you're going to look for that would make me basically qualify me to come help?
I guess the big thing is, in the past, I mean, I've done a background check, so I just want to make sure you're clean and good. And then I want to know if you have any softball or baseball experience, because softball and baseball are dang near the same thing other than pitching stuff. I mean, mechanics and all that are the same. So if you have any softball or baseball experience, and the more experience, the better. And if you have coaching experience, that's a plus. But I mean, with me being here, I'm willing to help. I'm willing to teach you or come in and help, you know, get you in the right track of helping these athletes improve and be better and just come around. So, I mean, just coaching experience, knowing if you've had background check kind of thing, and just you're here for the girls. You're not here for yourself. You're not here to make your name bigger or to boost your ego, or you're here for the girls. At the end of the day, your priority is the girls, and that's what you want.
Absolutely.
That sounds good. And we'll get with you too, and we'll try to get some information out there for people. Macey, we appreciate you coming on and taking the time to hang out with us for, golly, almost 30. We asked you for, I think I asked you for 5 minutes of your time, so it's actually turned into about 35 or 40 minutes. So I do appreciate it, and I'll be getting with you on some of that other stuff that we had talked about today. Jake, Eric, you guys have anything you want to add?
No, just really appreciate you coming on, Macey.
Oh, not a problem. Anytime. I love talking about ball.
Yeah, and with all that being said, I mean, everybody out there that tuned in, and it's kind of it's obviously first time doing something like this, and something we just kind of put our heads together on a couple of days ago and decided to launch this deal. And Macey, Riley, glad you guys could be a part of it and spend a little time with us. And anybody out there that wants to get in touch with Macey, like she said earlier, she's on Facebook. It's got the Hatfield Softball Academy plastered all over it. One of the best ones to walk through, Maysville and Lindsay school systems here. So she's played some big time softball and she knows what she's doing. So if you're interested, reach out to her, man. She's giving back to the girls and she's kind of got the same mindset we do. It's all about the kids at the end of the day, and any way we can get them out there and help them along, give them a little extra push here or there. That's what we're here for. And Macey, we appreciate what you do and thanks for jumping on with us here tonight. So we'll shut her down after all of that. And again, Mason, Riley, Ed.
I think we're gonna once we get her off of there, we're gonna talk a little bit about our basketball and baseball team. I think Eric's got some stats for that.
Cool.
Hey, Macey, I appreciate you coming in, and I'll shoot you a text sometime in the next few days.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem. Anytime.
All right, thanks.
Boomer.
Boomer.
Hey,
yeah, well, see y'all.
Eric. Eric, did you remember to get us some numbers?
I didn't
Or
know
do
I was
you?
supposed to get.
Oh, I thought you had. I figured you knew
I
him by
know.
heart.
Hey,
To be honest with you.
off the top of my head, I mean, if you want to, if you want to talk about the summer league basketball that Lindsay has going on, I don't have a roster or anything here in front of me, but I know they are rolling through their summer league basketball. I believe they're 15-0, something 14 or 15-0, something like that. Those guys are going out and just absolutely putting on a show. Dietrich
Yeah,
Watts, he's kind of fronting that deal and getting some extra playing time for a handful of guys. Like I said, I don't have a roster here in front of me. Obviously, the Watts brothers are playing. I think Caleb Ince is a part of that team. Brody Ramey's a part of that team. Is Henson playing? Is he on that team?
yeah, Mitchell Hudson. He's been at every game also.
Okay. So yeah, a
I'm trying.
lot of names we're familiar with, and like I was saying, Eric, I mean they're something has clicked, and not to take away anything that they did during the regular season, but and the little playoff run they had, but I mean, hey, to go 15-0 halfway through your summer league ball, I mean that's something to be proud of for sure.
Yeah, they've had 2 camps so far. The first one is in Kingston, where they stayed down there for a few days,
Right.
and they played several good teams. All for I can't remember all of them, but they went undefeated, and they didn't just go undefeated. They won. I think Valiant was within 10, and it was a bigger deficit until it was already over with. But they
Mm-hmm.
beat every 20 and 30 points, and
Yeah.
then they come home and have a camp here at Lindsay. They finished up this morning at 9 and won every game in this camp, playing Washington, Sulphur, Marlowe, and they're just rolling right now. They played Roth, who I believe has won a couple state championships in basketball recently. They're a smaller school, but those guys are well coached and know how to play ball. And I think we beat them by double digits. So they're really rolling. And the junior high was able to participate in this Lindsay camp, and
Mm-hmm.
it was mainly made up of all freshmen. There were a couple sophomores on the team, but they went undefeated as well, rolling everyone. So I know Coach Walker's trying to get the freshman group, that JV group, some competition and kind of humble them a little bit, but they end up taking care of business all week also. And I think the future is very bright for Leopard sports in general, but the basketball team is going to be one of those that's going to be very good. You pay attention at the end of the season where we're going.
Yeah, for sure.
And what about our? I think our baseball team. I think they've got like a tournament or something this weekend, don't they?
Yeah, they're kind of involved in a AMPO summer series where they play. I think AMPO's heading that up, but they play different places, on Tuesday nights every week for a month here. And this becoming weekend, there is a tournament that they're in. It was supposed to start tomorrow, but I just got a message while we were talking to Macey, and it's going to be pushed back a day, I think, because of the rain, all the rain that everyone got. And but look, the Leopard baseball team too, guys. I mean, we didn't lose any play. There were no seniors last year, so we didn't lose anyone. And we went pretty deep in the playoffs this year with a good season record. I think it's going to be even better this year.
Do you have any idea who's going to be at that tournament, the AMPO tournament? Any idea?
I do not yet. We're waiting for the schedule to come out. The schedule has not come out yet, so once I get that, I can get that information to everybody.
Okay. I haven't heard.
Yeah. No, that'll be something to look forward to. I mean, we're obviously, summer's just about to kick off, and everybody's mindset kind of automatically goes towards, the fall and football, and looking forward to football, ready just a football guy, looking forward to it. But yeah, with all that, I mean, what basketball's doing right now with just a handful of guys, they're coming out, they're putting on a good show. As Eric was saying, baseball wise, didn't have any seniors last year, so you gain everybody back. Plus that, what I guess it would be the freshman class, they're going to bump up to be sophomores now. I think Leopard baseball is in a really good spot with, especially, as far as age goes, they're going to be senior heavy, obviously, a ton of experience. They got some big games under their belts. Getting, partial new facility down there, going to have some upgrades. So that's going to be something to look forward to coming up next spring. And I mean, as Eric was saying, Leopard athletics right now, they're starting. I don't want to say they're peaking, but they're kind of coming back into the picture. I mentioned the brand, the logo, the interlocking L's when we kind of started this whole thing. My mindset and my idea was, don't let the brand disappear. Don't let it fade away. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like with what we're doing and them as well, the athletes as well, performing at the high rate that they do, we're doing a good job. They're doing a good job of keeping that interlocking L, that brand out there. And, people see that interlocking L and they know, hey, that's Lindsay Leopards. It's a good athletic program all the way around. So that's definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, I think our softball team, they've got a summer league scrimmage over at Marlow. I think we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on that. I'm looking at the schedule for that, and there's some really good teams going to be in there. I'm excited about fast pitch softball. I think we're going to be really good there too. So speaking of fast pitch softball, Jake, you honestly, you listen. I would have loved for OSU to be playing OU right now, but if I were an OSU fan, I would be thankful they're not, because those OU girls are on fire, absolutely on fire. They just went up 7-1. So I lost you, and we lost Jake. He's back here. Ah, look, there's Jake.
No, I think what you were saying, talking about OSU, you would have liked to have seen, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma in that national championship, best of three. But I mean, like Macey was talking, OSU just kind of let it slip away from them. They kind of got down in the dumps, and one thing led to another, and then all of a sudden, Texas is on top 6-5, and credit to Texas, they never look back. So just kind of the way cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm good, guys. If y'all are good, if everybody's good, I mean, I lost connection back there in that back room. They locked me up in this dang like an 8x8 locker room back there. So
I didn't want you to have to watch that game.
yeah. But Ed, thanks for jumping on again. Macey, if you're still tuned in or whatnot, thank you so much for jumping on. Riley, appreciate you as well. Robert, thank you, man, putting all this stuff together. I know you've been at it biggest part of the day. So with all that being said, yeah,
hey
go
Jake,
ahead. What's up, buddy?
Let's remind everyone, golf tournament coming up a week from Saturday.
Yes. Yeah, we're about 10 days out from this benefit golf tournament. We're trying to raise a little bit of extra money for the baseball program. As I mentioned earlier, they're going to have some updates to the facility there, a new concession, locker room that the opposing football team is going to be able to use this coming fall. So still probably, I mean, we'd take another 10, 12 teams. 9 would give us a legit 18 teams. That'd put everybody on a whole. So if you're out there and want to play some golf here, June 18th, hit up me, hit up Eric, or get a hold of Robert. However, he don't know a thing about golf, but he would pass on the info, and we get you signed up for sure. Want as many people to come out as possible and come out and support those baseball guys.
Absolutely.
So, well, guys, it's we're about an hour into this deal, man. Had a blast. We'll do it again. With all that being said, thank you so much for everybody tuning in to the first initial, the rundown with Rutledge. Good night, everybody.